Welcome, everybody. This next segment is another presentation by District 33 about Basecamp Manager Basics for Vice Presidents of Education. Please help me welcome our 2020-2021 Program Quality Director, Distinguished Toastmaster, Clarisse Kresser.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dennis. This session is geared for Basecamp Manager Basics for VPEs. When we had our TLI last week, can't believe it was like a week ago, we had a great group of VPEs, but there wasn't nearly enough time to be able to answer and to really address some of the Basecamp Manager pieces, which is a core function of Vice President of Education. So that the VPE plays a major role and is the main Basecamp Manager for each of the clubs. So today's presentation is giving you all and giving everyone the basics. We have in the Zoom room a wide range of experience levels of Vice President of Educations. So we have those that are just starting off, we have those that have some experience, we have those that have a little bit more experience, and those who really have a great deal of experience. And so I want to mention that this presentation is really trying to address those wide ranges of experience levels, and also share with you some updates and information that all of you as Basecamp managers and VPEs will find very helpful in your role as VPE. So with that, what I'd like to do is we're going to spend some time on this PowerPoint, and I'm going to show screenshots. We will have time for a Q&A. In this session, I will be giving away, like I did in my first one, a $5 gift card to Starbucks. So it will be a question will be posed for someone. I will randomly pick. And if that person answers the question correctly, they will get that gift card. So it's something a little fun and maybe spark some interest in actually listening and really testing. I'm going to serve as a listener for this meeting to see how many of you are listening today. Now with that, I'd like to share my screen. All right, so I want to make sure, can all of you see this? If you could nod in, okay, thank you so much. I want to make sure that you see this. So today we're going to talk about the basics for VPEs as it relates to serving as a Basecamp manager. A copy of this presentation as a PDF, as well as the actual PowerPoint, will be available on this Google website, on this Google Share Drive, which I will share later after the meeting in an email with the evaluation form for this. Let me cancel that. The PowerPoint will not be available on that Google Drive, and it's because this presentation and the one I just did the previous hour is huge, and Google, for some reason, won't allow people to access it because of the size, but I'll figure out a way, even if it's on chunks, splitting the presentation in smaller chunks to be able to send that to you. For today, what we're going to cover is 4 areas. The 4 areas relate to your role and a role of VPEs as Basecamp managers. We're going to cover how do you prove level completions? What are some of the common issues that Basecamp managers and VPEs face related to level completions? How do you submit awards? That's one of the main roles of a VPE. And I want to share with you some Basecamp resources that are now available for everyone to access, and resources that will serve incredibly beneficial and be helpful to you all as Basecamp managers. Now, when we're talking about completing projects and levels, there are things that the member has to do. Clearly, the member has to work on their project. They have to complete their project. They have to complete their project online on Pathways and go through their lessons. They also have to do their speech projects that they deliver in the clubs. There is no approval needed by the Basecamp manager for a member to go from one project to another. A member can go from one level to another. But what is required is that they have to do things that they have to do what's called the level completion task, which I covered in my previous presentation in the previous section. As a base camp manager, what you need to do and what your main role is, you need to approve a member's level completion. How do you do that? Oh, and you also must submit your education award on Club Central. For those of you that were VPEs when we had the traditional program, under the traditional program, submitting awards was done in one step you could do through Club Central. With Pathways, it now has become a two-step process, which I will cover shortly. How you do this before you can do anything on Pathways, you must log on onto your TI account. So you log on onto your account and you'll know that when you see you're welcome and it has your name, you're going to go into the section that says Pathways and Pathways Learning Experience, but you want to this time, rather than logging on as a member working on Pathways, members who log on Pathways go to Basecamp. As a Basecamp manager, you want to log on as a Basecamp manager. If you are a Basecamp manager for multiple clubs, be sure you are selecting the club that you are logging on as. If you're a Basecamp manager, like in this case, I'm a Basecamp manager for ProTalk, I'm going to log on to ProTalk, because what that will do is it will give you access to the members and that information for that club. So be sure that you log on. If you're a Basecamp manager for multiple clubs, be sure that you are selecting the correct club. Once you select that and you go log on as Basecamp manager, you will be seeing this window. And I highlighted you will have, as the Basecamp manager, you will do things like pending requests, which are approvals that are waiting for approval. The other one is checking on a member's progress on where they are on their pathway. And then here are some Basecamp manager tutorials that you could access through this link. Today, I am not covering this part on how you access members' progress. I'm going to be covering the approvals and the things that I mentioned previously in a couple of slides. So when you get into pending requests, what you'll see is, okay, this is a blank window. I could not do one where you had an actual name, but if the member correctly did their level completion, and they also did their before and after assessment skills, and they have finished, you have all the check marks that you see, there will be the name of the member here. You'll see on here the member's name, their path, the date, and it will have on here what basically pending or approval. And what you'll do is you're going to click on that to approve. However, before you do that, I want to stress, you must, as a Basecamp manager, make sure that that member has also completed their speech projects. Having to do the online program and doing the online lessons is only about half, or maybe it's only a part of what is required to complete and for you as a Basecamp manager to approve. They must have completed their speech projects. In my previous presentation, I encourage, and still do, advocate that the member takes responsibility to make sure that they have copies of their evaluation forms. You should not, as a VPE, have to scramble and have to do the research for them to make sure that they've completed it. I would encourage you as VPEs to create that system and encourage them and support the members to be able to have those records for them. So when you are ready to approve, they've already provided you with the speech project and the evaluations that they've completed to make sure that they've done it. We have some members who do speech projects at other clubs. So that's even, you want to be sure that they collect their evaluation forms for those speech projects and be able to give you those forms that are completed as documentation that they have indeed completed it. And when they have, then by all means, go ahead and click on that approval. Once you've approved their level, now there are some common issues that come up where you may not see that member's name. I've had many members that say, I've completed it. And I go and look under pending requests and I don't see their names. And most likely the issue has to do with two common problems that have occurred. And one of them has to do with, a common issue has to do with the before and assessment skills assessment has not been completed. That's common issue number one. And how you would go about doing that is you would walk through the member, make sure that they've done their before and their assessment skills. And the way you can check is if they have their assessment skills, and you could do that by clicking on, when you get onto your path, there is what I call the table of contents, and this will give you the contents of the entire lesson. You go into the assess your skills, and you can walk through with the member on this. And they have to go through that assessment skills and click on the response for that, and they would have had to do that in the beginning. It's important that they click submit, and I've done this myself. I would just click, and I forget to click on submit, but make sure that they've clicked on the submit button. And if they have, they should get this. If they haven't seen a screen that shows their responses from their before assessment as well as their after assessments, they haven't seen this, then something happened. They either didn't do their before, which you'll know if there were numbers in the before, they did it. If there were no numbers in the after, they didn't click on something. So make sure that the member saw the before and after skills, and if they didn't, walk through with them on getting back into the before and assessment skills and resubmitting it. That's usually one of the common issues that happen, and it usually appears. The other is that the member didn't mark or did not mark their level as complete. And how they would do that is they would go back into their window where that shows their path. It shows the level that they're on, and this one shows, it will always give a gauge in terms of how much this member has completed on their level. So once they've completed level 1, for example, and they've done their icebreaker, they've done their evaluation and feedback, they've done their research and presenting, they pretty much have 75% of the level done. In terms of the path, they would have only completed, say, 15% of the entire path. If this window here, level 1 completion, is, in this case, this is a motivational strategies path, if that member still sees activate, then they'd have not marked that level as complete. And how they do that is they go back to this window, they click on activate, and they'll get a window that says mark complete. They want to make sure that that window mark complete is showing, and that will trigger the messages through Basecamp that that member has completed level 1. That should send a message through Basecamp Manager to you as a Basecamp manager in that previous window, and that member's name should show up as pending approvals, where you can go ahead and click. So again, the two most common problems for not seeing a member under the pending requests is, 1, they haven't completed their before and after assessment skills, and number 2, they have not marked their level as complete in this, as demonstrated in this window. Those are the two most common issues. Now, once a member has completed their level, then as a Basecamp manager, you will need to submit the awards. How you would submit the awards is you would need to go, and I want to make sure that approving a level does not submit a member's award. There's another process to that. It just basically says, there'll be a message that the member has completed level 1 or 2, whatever level that they've completed that you just awarded. The level award has to be and must be submitted in Club Central. Once you will know that the level award has been submitted, because you as a Basecamp manager and all the other Basecamp managers, which are the presidents and secretaries, as well as the member, will receive an email confirmation through the TI system. If you do not receive that email, then that level award has not been submitted. That's one way that you will know and how the member will know. How you submit the awards is you go through, you have to log on to your TI account, and you go into Leadership Central, and you go into Club Central. Club Central is the main area as an officer where you can conduct all club business, including things related to submitting awards as a Basecamp manager. When you click on Club Central, you will see something like this, and this is my window. You will see areas related to club membership, club administration, and there are other pieces if you scroll down to the bottom of the page. But the key one here is you want to click on Submit Awards. This is where you submit your members' education awards. Once you click on that, the system will ask you, Club Central will ask you, select the member. So there'll be a drop-down menu, and you select the member that you are submitting the award for. Now, it's important that you had already previously approved the level 1 in Pathways. Because if you didn't do that and you submit an award, Club Central will come out and basically give you an error message on something. But assuming that you did, you select the award or the member, and you go ahead and select it, and you're done. That's how you would submit an award for a member, and you will immediately, like within minutes, receive an email confirmation that the award was successfully submitted on the drop-down menu. The next part I want to go over, and we'll have time for Q&A as well, is to go over the Basecamp resources that are available for members, as well as there are some specific ones related to Basecamp managers that I want to highlight. Again, one of the things you'll be logging onto Basecamp, and you will go into this window, and this is the window where you access your path through here. For those of you that were in the previous section, this button here is now, you can access all the speech evaluation forms for all of the paths, and it's sorted by alphabetical order that you could download as a PDF file and download it onto your computer. Tutorials and resources have been, actually was added a few weeks ago, and there's like tons of great information and resources. Specifically, like when you get into tutorials and resources, you will click on, and I highlighted here, Basecamp Manager. So as a Basecamp manager, there's also additional information that is available at your fingertips. Tutorials. So when you click on Basecamp Manager, you will see, you'll notice here 113 results for tutorials and resources available for Basecamp Manager. So there's here an overview. It's an online class you could go through on basic Basecamp Manager responsibilities and an overview. There's another one related to individual progress dashboard. So the previous one that I showed you on how you can, if you want to find out where each of your members in your club, how are they progressing, how do you go ahead and find that information? There's actually a video or an online class that will walk you through that process. There's, like I said, a number of resources that are available for you to access as well. And that is basically it. I want to highlight that even though there's a lot of resources available on Basecamp, we will, as a district, will be launching a leadership lab, monthly seminars that will be launched August 1st. It will be the first Saturday of every month, and we are launching that. The first series is in a few weeks, August 1st. There will be 3 tracks. It will be a total of 3 hours for the leadership lab. There will be 3 one-hour tracks for members to select sessions and things that are of interest. Our goal for this year was to expand the training and support for all members, and acknowledging that members come in different groups. You have members who are members. We have members who are serving in leadership roles within the club and within the district. And we have members who want to have additional information and training in other areas related to, say, leadership. The Leadership Lab format is designed to provide all of that for everyone to be able to pick what they would like and as many as they would like. So even though we are just like right now just covering basics of Basecamp managers for VPEs, if there's any particular session or things that as a Basecamp manager you would in particular would like to have as an in-person, well, virtual in-person by Zoom to cover, please let me know. I don't want to say, oh, go to the website, go under tutorials and resources and go click on the video. No, okay, videos are fine as a resource. We want to be able to be responsive to what your needs are. So by all means, please, let me know what would be of help. And I so appreciate all your time and effort, and I hope this was a helpful session for all of you. And you have a wonderful rest of your weekend, everyone, and thank you so much.